Welcome to the exhibition Transcendental Modernism, currently on view at deCordova Sculpture Park and Museum. My name is Sam Adams, and I'm the Curatorial Fellow at deCordova. Shadowy paintings, golden frames, and neon lights swirl together in this exhibition of spiritual art in Massachusetts. Spanning the 1940s to 90s and drawn mostly from deCordova's permanent collection, Transcendental Modernism focuses on a period of loss, yearning, and liberation. Rather than a comprehensive survey, this exhibition spotlights Jewish spirituality, the Black arts movement, artists at MIT, and mysticism in nature. Many of the artists knew each other as students and teachers, working on public art, frequenting the same beaches. There's even a parent and child. In this way, the exhibition traces fleeting intergenerational links and communities. Veering from dominant narratives of modern art as abstract and secular, Transcendental Modernism advances an understanding of vanguard art in Massachusetts based on social progress and spiritual pursuits. A larger related exhibition, Visionary New England, is also on view at deCordova. Blending figurative subjects and raw emotional brushwork, young Jewish artists contributed to a style known as Boston Expressionism. Although some were from Orthodox families, they used modernist fragmentation and abstraction to articulate their crises of faith, or rather, their opening up to new spiritual sources, which included pagan mythology, mysticism, astrology, theosophy, and so on. Hyman Bloom considered artists to be mediums capable of revealing mysterious, non-visual aspects of life. A flayed corpse here lies across this canvas, its feet extending beyond the bottom left corner. Mythological women birds called harpies gnaw away at the body, perhaps freeing its soul. Bloom began painting cadavers after visiting a morgue in 1943 with his peer, David Aronson. Aronson's Orthodox rabbi father disapproved of his art, which broke a taboo in his house on graven images. In his bronze relief, Moon Worshippers, revelers parade a Torah scroll through a lunar festival that doesn't even exist in Judaism. In 1963, Time magazine declared that he succeeded where few contemporaries even dared to try in marrying today's religious concerns with the visual arts. At the height of the civil rights movement in the US and decolonization in Africa, artists in and around Roxbury were connecting a royal African past to an emancipated future. They dispensed with linear timelines and European styles to envision newly the promises of liberation. A defining moment for the Black arts movement in Massachusetts came in the early 70s when the first Africobra exhibitions toured from Chicago to Amherst and Roxbury. Africobra stands for the African Commune of Bad Relevant Artists. One of its first members, Napoleon Jones Henderson, moved permanently to Roxbury in 1974. He adapted the figures dancing across this tapestry from Sinufo sculptures, secularizing and westernizing them with bell-bottoms and platforms. And this enamel work pays homage to Duke Ellington's genre-defying sacred concerts. When Sharon Dunn painted her 1970 mural, Black Women, she was exploring Egyptian tomb architecture, Nubian iconography, and spiritual traditions, past, present, and future. Women on the bottom gaze up at maternal archetypes and the eyes of ancestors above. On the Roxbury YMCA, Gary Rickson's mural, Africa is the Beginning, has also inspired young people to celebrate non-Western creativity and spirituality for over half a century. deCordova's collection contains histories not just of individual artworks, but also of networks and informal communities forged around mystical beliefs and nature. Some of these artists consciously emulated 19th century transcendentalists, while others sought entirely new philosophies, often Eastern. Flames and orbs are abundant, and the few human figures we can make out are almost dematerialized. There's an urgency to the way light and fire are depicted, as if the artists are fending off darkness. Lauren McIver's Provincetown Shack shows the driftwood shack where she summered on the dunes of Cape Cod throughout the 1930s and early 40s, spending time with Hyman Bloom and others. Georgi Kepish maintained a residence nearby in Wellfleet and incorporated sand into these canvases. Lawrence Kupferman and his son David practiced transcendental meditation in Provincetown, where Polly Thayer's Starr briefly studied plein air painting. Painted 3 decades after she converted to Quakerism, Thayer Starr's wispy burning bush seems to reference more than just the biblical scene. Esther Geller's Terra Incognito pulsates with veins and hot colors. She learned the encaustic method of painting with wax from the German expressionist Karl Zerby. Targeted by the Nazis, Zerby fled to Boston to teach at the School of the Museum of Fine Arts. He energized a generation of artists known as Boston Expressionists, many of their works on view here. Depicted as a shower of particles coalescing before our eyes, the subject of this portrait is Oskar Kokoschka, who Zerby invited to lead a course for his students in the Berkshires one summer. Art, nature, and technology were intimately connected for Georgi Kepish. He developed the surface of this canvas using sand and glue with forms that evoke molecules or gears. After studying with Bauhaus master Laszlo Moholy-Nagy, Kepish founded the Center for Advanced Visual Studies at MIT, transporting a utopian ideal of artistic-industrial collaboration from interwar Europe to post-war Massachusetts. Harold Tovish was among the first fellows in the MIT program. As an American soldier in World War II, Tovish's recollections of Nazi concentration camps haunted his work. In this 1984 piece, Downfall, cracked spheres with human faces plunge into a bottomless pit, using a variety of mirrored types and neon tube lighting. The sensation of life slipping away is also apparent in his self-portraits as a mutating skull. At MIT, media artist Aldo Tombolini explored consciousness in virtual space. His scratched and painted lumograms projected here onto the ground are displayed with an inky black painting on a sheet of punctured architectural paper. As a child, Tombolini was liberated from fascist-occupied Italy by an African-American infantry division and linked blackness in his art with the complex notion of freedom. Black, he wrote, is the expansion of consciousness in all directions. I'd like to end by acknowledging the bold visions of the artists who inspired this exhibition and say thanks to you for joining me on this tour. I hope to see you soon at deCordova.